How are you doing today? I'd just like to say today is a bit of an exciting day for me, and the reason why is because somewhere in between 11 o'clock today and 3, I get my new furniture. Trying to get a bit of a day early, but can't always get what you want, even when you pay for it. But, they say all good things are worth waiting for, and that's what it is. All good things are worth waiting for. I like to give a shout out to God today. I had ran into a situation, and well, I'd done a lot of praying, a lot of looking, and with the help of God and praying and a few other things, I managed to overcome a problem. As which, hey, anytime you can overcome any problem, I don't care what it is, any problem, you when you overcome it, man, it builds your self-esteem, makes you feel great, accomplished, makes you feel like a man. I'm sorry, guys, I have to laugh at myself. There ain't no one else here to laugh at me, so I have to laugh at myself. Even looking at myself on the monitor here, if you ever stood in front of a mirror and just made some simple facial expressions, just like smiling like this. Okay, that was probably a little creepy, but if you ever just like want to see what other people may see or might see, this is just a thought, very tiny little thought. I mean, I ain't never had anything to test this to prove it to be fact. So let's just say, for the sake of science, it's a hypothesis. Which, by the way, I've never had a bit of lick of college education. Not one bit. Matter of fact, I barely made it out of high school by the skin of what teeth I have left. Yes, that's right, folks. I have horrible teeth. Get over it. But doesn't it make my personality kind of pop out as far as goofiness? But anyhows, see, once again, I have to laugh at myself. No one else is here to laugh at me. Oh, got a bumblebee trying to get into the door here. I'm glad I got it shut. Boy. And I even cleaned the window. Get it? Those window washing commercials. But now, get back to subject here. If you ever really want to get a bird's eye view, kind of, or a mirrored image of what people might see of you when you make certain facial expressions, or whatever, it don't hurt to look in a mirror. It really don't. I mean, we look in the mirror to brush our hair, and I have to look in the mirror to brush my teeth, what teeth I have, and I also, when it comes to making my mustache look good and my little soap patch, I've been debating to cut this thing off. I'm kind of tired of messing with it, and I kind of like how some beginner beard growers make the mistake of trimming. Well, I trimmed a little bit too much, and yeah, it kind of veered away from what I was going for. But I wanted to go for a mix of the Johnny Depp look mixed in with a little bit of Captain Morgan. As which, by the way, I have no sponsors, so when I do say something like that, it's purely just to amuse myself. I don't know if it amuses anybody else, but I get a kick out of it. Looks like a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. I think I'm going to show y'all this little bumblebee that keeps trying to break in here. I don't know if you can see this bumblebee or not. Oh, he flew away. I guess he's camera shy. I guess to him I'm just like the paparazzi. Anybody remember that stupid song that came out called Paparazzi or I can't even talk. That's okay though. Y'all know what I mean. You know what I mean? Oh boy, how many people here remember Ernest? Anybody that was ever a child of the 80s, late 80s, part of the 90s? If you don't know who Ernest is, you ain't lived, man. Know what I mean, Vern? See, that was one of his sayings, man, is a good buddy Vern, you know? You know what I mean, Vern? My favorite little expression used to make, you know, maybe it's stuff like this is why I make weird, goofy faces, you know. Mixture of Red Skelton, who's like one of my first heroes that made me, aside from finding out that it was either the original or the rough draft of the Kiss song Dr. Love was wrote in Evansville, Indiana. Aside from finding that out, as well as the Kiss Army originated from Indiana, and I am a natural born Hoosier. I live in Kentucky, but I am a Hoosier. And when I was a kid, you know, I kind of started like mid-teens, pre-teens, mid-teens. You know, I started like, why am I, or why should I be proud to be from Indiana? Well, growing up, the only thing I really knew, when you live in the southern part of Indiana, I don't know nothing about the northern part from like Indianapolis up, but when you live in the southern part of Indiana, and I also break that down into two categories, you have lower southern Indiana, which is pretty much everything kissing from the edge of Kentucky, Ohio, and parts of Illinois, and then you split. When you split the entire part of that in half and divide that, you have the upper southern part of Indiana. That's where I'm from, is from the upper southern part of Indiana. That's how I break that down, see? And anyhow, all I grew up knowing was George Rogers Clark this, George Rogers Clark that, Vincennes, Indiana, as which, you know, when you're in grade school in Indiana, they kind of like shove that down your throat. Like, I'm pretty sure like kids in Texas going through school get the Alamo bit shoved down their throat. Or if you're from Tennessee, well, I ain't too for sure what they would shove down your throat, but I'm sure it's something. Or if you live in any part of Georgia or Alabama, I'm sure it's all about the Civil War or some parts of that. Or even like down in Florida, I'm assuming. Actually, I'm just guesstimating. I could be wrong, folks. If anybody's familiar with those states, hey, educate me. Because I'm an open book willing to be written in. I mean, after all, I'm tattooed. Why not? But anyways, you know, that's all I ever knew, you know, for the longest time. And I'm just like, gee, George Rogers Clark. In my opinion, just like the glorified terrorist Andrew Jackson, who's on the $20 bill. Glorified terrorist, Indian killer, land stealer. And that's how I interpret that, too. If you don't like it, I don't care. I'm a Native American, one part Native American, rest I'm all mutt. Well, I guess I'm just all mutt, but I take my Native American heritage very seriously. And I love it, and I'm proud of that. I'm 16th Cherokee, a 6th Crow, and I don't know the other percentages of anything else. Other than I know there's a percent of Lakota, Cheyenne, Ojibwe, Miami. I'm just a Heinz 57, man. I'm all thrown in the mix, and I'm also Irish, Scottish, Dutch, German. And also, I used to classify Kentucky to be its own thing too, but apparently they've done solve that issue. For those of you that don't realize, at one point in time, I think, clean up till maybe anywhere between 15 to 20 years span, somewhere in that time frame, there was a document that was signed and that was unsigned, that was an agreement between the United States and England. And anyways, that's also why you see a lot through like anything with Kentucky saying the Commonwealth of Kentucky or something to that effect. Now, I ain't too keen on the history, but that's how it was told to me. If anybody got any more information about that they'd like to add, leave it in the comment section. I would appreciate it. After all, it's always good to be informed with fact and truth, but at the same time, history is wrote by the winners. And unfortunately, when you're a winner, you tend to exaggerate sometimes to make the story seem more epic, more adventurous. And sometimes, in some sad cases, it even veers from the real truth. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother time, and I'm sure y'all know where I'm getting at on that one. And if you don't, stay tuned. You never know, you might learn something. Anyways, so with that bit with Indiana, you know, I grew up wondering, why should I be proud to be from Indiana? I found out in Vincennes, Indiana, one of my all-time favorite heroes was born and raised in Vincennes, Indiana, and was born and raised in poverty. That is none other than the great Mr. Red Skelton. That is my state hero right there. He was America's funniest clown. He created characters. No, some of his famous and beloved characters and well-known characters is Freddy the Freeloader, Clem Diddlehopper, Co-Flower McPug, Willie Lumpump, Deadeye, the Crooked Sheriff, and many other beloved characters. But a lot of people don't realize this. Most clowns, most of your funniest clowns and funniest people were in fact your saddest people, your depressed people. And Red Skelton, throughout his life, you know, kind of lived a bit of a sad life, you know. And I mean, the way he talked about his childhood, he was a happy child, but still it was kind of sad. You know, he had a few brothers and sisters, and they lived in a house that had a dirt floor in Vincennes, Indiana, man. And one of my favorite stories, it's my favorite story to tell about one of my heroes, man, is when he used to tell the story when he was a little boy. He would sell papers. Well, his favorite comedian, clown, was going to be in town in Vincennes, Indiana, playing at the Old Burlesque Theater, which is now where the Red Skelton Museum and stage and all that is. As which I've been to. It's awesome. If you ain't never been there, go to Vincennes, Indiana, and visit the Red Skelton Museum. You will love it. You will laugh. You will cherish it. Your kids will too. And no, once again, I have no sponsors, but I'm speaking it from my heart. Anyways, he was trying to sell these papers. He was dancing and hollering and jumping around trying to get anybody to buy these papers so he could go see the show. And his favorite comedian was no other than the great Ed Wynn. Well, he was selling these papers, and this guy came up and noticed him, and he said, "Hey, what you do? You know, you're making all this sound and commotion, you know." He said, "You only selling papers? What's up with this?" And he said, "Well, my favorite comedian and comic's going to be in town, and I want to go see him. If I can sell all these papers, I will be able to go see my favorite star play, you know, act and do his thing, you know." And this is also like a shorthand version, by the way. And anyhow, this man was so taken up and inspired by this young boy, Mr. Red Skelton, as we later come to know. He bought every single paper he had. Every single paper he had. And Red Skelton ran home, got ready for the show, and at the same time, this man was good friends with the owner of the theater, and told him to give this letter to him, and he would be able to meet his favorite star. And so he did, and he found the stage manager, gave him the piece of paper, and he said, "Oh yes," he said, "we've been waiting for you." They gave him a front row seat, man, front row seat, like he was a VIP, and he watched the show and everything. Well, then later on, he was told to wait by the stage after the show. He waited by the stage after the show, and the stage manager came up, took him backstage, and there was the dressing room with a star that said Ed Wynn on it. He knocked on the door, and he heard a voice saying, "Come in." He walked through the door, and he seen a man wiping makeup off his face in the mirror, and lo and behold, he saw the man that bought all of his papers.